Hey everybody, Steven here, and today looking at a ceiling fan with light from Lumary here. So I wanted to upgrade the ceiling fan that I have in my office, and that is a 52-inch fan, and I wanted to switch over to something that actually had a light in it, and this has worked really great with the light here and then still having the fan. Now it is a smaller fan at 18 inches, but it still provides a good amount of air, but I'm going to talk about that a little bit more here in a little bit. I am unboxing this right now. Inside of the box, you're going to find the user manual, the remote, all the hardware you need to actually mount this, and then the fan with the light itself. Now for this, there's a flush mount where the motor is, and you can just simply twist this and then pop that open, and that's where you're going to find your wires in order to connect this, and it has the plate attached as well. One of the cool features with that is that they have a cable that holds onto this, so when you are installing this, it can hang off to the side and it just has that cable. It's really nice with that versus other ones where you're trying to hold this heavy item and then mount it. I do suggest if you are uncomfortable installing this, you need to make sure that you get an electrician to actually install this for you. Now I installed this myself, really straightforward and easy to do. You have the plate here that you see. The motor itself and everything is kind of tucked inside of the housing. I do wish there was a little bit more room. It was a little bit harder for me to get this just because the actual electrical box inside of my ceiling is smaller. I didn't want to mess with replacing that. So trying to actually twist in and install the bottom portion of the fan to that mounting plate was just a little bit more difficult. Other than that, like I said, very easy, straightforward to do. So this is all the hardware here, and you do get the remote. The remote is very nice in terms of just the layout, has everything that you would need on this, but you do get more with the app. I do want to mention that, but you don't necessarily need to use it. We will cover that more here in a second, but this is going to be the internals here with the fan. And so again, you have the box right there, and then you see all the electrical stuff is hooked up. You just have the white and black cable there, and then the ground. So here we have the user manual. Let's just cover some of the loose specs with this. So the input voltage 100 to 130 volts AC current at 60 hertz. The wattage for the light is maxed 35 watts. The fan wattage is maxed out at 15 watts. You have the RGB plus AI, and then the tunable white 2700K to 6500K. We have the CRI here at 80 plus. Lumens 2800 lumens. It does get quite bright. I do like that feature. The beam angle is 120 degrees, and then you have the rated life of 25,000 hours. So here's just a quick look at the old ceiling fan that I had in here. Just a basic white. Again, this is the 52-inch in terms of the length of this. Good size. It does have a good amount of airflow in my office, which is great. And now here's just a generalized view of what this looks like before. So one of my main complaints with this is it just takes up a lot of room, and I'm slowly switching everything in my office over to just try and make it look bigger. And I don't want to get rid of the fan function. I just want something that's a little bit more streamlined, a little bit smaller, but the light here is an added bonus, and it looks incredible in my office. It gives me this secondary option for lighting. And then this is just the fan here at max speed, and so the difference between airflow is noticeable, but it still provides a good amount. And the room is so small, I don't need that much airflow that that bigger fan has necessarily. I don't usually have it on full. I usually have it on like level 2. So here's the fan. It looks great. Again, we shrunk everything down. It has a very good streamlined look to it. So next I'm going to showcase the remote. I don't have it on camera just because the camera would focus on the remote. So then everything with this fan light, it would be blurry. You couldn't actually see what it was doing. But on the remote, you pretty much have everything that you need. So you don't necessarily need to hook this up to the app. You get more options with the app, of course. But you have the on-off switch, wind mode, natural or soft with that. The fan rotation, you can do this forward or reverse. Shaking head with this, so if it is shaking as far as my understanding of this goes, it will help to actually make sure that it doesn't do that. The fan speed, you have 1 through 6. You can turn the fan on and off. If you long press that button, it will trigger this into the pairing mode for the app, by the way. Underneath this, you have the power button for the white color portion, so the regular portion of the light. Next to that, you have the RGB color power button. And then at the very bottom, we have 4 buttons here. Starting on the far left, you can change the brightness. Next to that, you can change the color temperature. The button after that is interesting because it has two different modes. So if you're gonna up click this button, you can change the RGB color. If you click the bottom portion, like you're gonna down click this, you can change the RGB mode. And then the last button here, you can change the countdown timing. You have 1 and 4 hours with this if you wanna set this on a timer. So again, you don't actually need the app if you didn't want to mess with it. You do get some more features, but this covers so much here. I think for a lot of people, it may just be easier to just use the remote. But speaking of the app, let's go ahead and shift over now to that. So once this is paired, this will show up in the Lumary app here. If I click the power button, for whatever reason, it didn't actually showcase this in the video here, but you can turn this on or off. And usually the button in the app, it actually goes away. So right now it's green because it's powered on, but if I click on it, usually it'll say, hey, this is powered off. Now, once I click on the fan itself, then it will bring up the other options that you have with that particular product. And here we have the tunable white color. So you can change this to whatever color that you want within that 2700 to 6500K. In the middle, you have the power button. Underneath this, you actually have the brightness level. At the very bottom, you can add presets. You get up to 5, and with this, we have the 3 down there, but I could add more if I wanted to, or delete those just for quick access. Hey, this is the exact color temperature that I want. Next to that, we have color. Again, a dial here. You get to pick whatever color that you want. You can adjust the brightness, turn this on or off, or add those presets down at the bottom just for quick access. Now you can't duplicate these though, so it says the color already exists. So you have to pick different colors with this or adjustments to that, right? So after that we have scene. There are so many here, I'm not gonna cover all of them. We have our different categories at the top, but within that, they give you it's almost like every conceivable pairing that you could have based off of these primary and secondary colors. At the very bottom, you have the speed as well, so you get to adjust how fast or slow that particular effect is going. And we have a lot here. So basic is the first tab. That is all of them. You just saw me scroll through. There are a ton. Next to that, we have water, and we're looking at certain things like clockwise versus anti-clockwise versus what are the color pairings that we're doing here. Is it 2 colors? Is it 3 colors? So many different potential combinations that you have within this. That's great because there's so many options that you do have. It almost feels a little bit overwhelming at first because it's like, hey, which one do I want to choose? But you have this many because as far as I know in this app, there's not customization that you get to do. You're not creating your own scene with this like some of their other products. So turning off the regular portion of the light here, we get a better view, an idea of how bright this does get. So with the colors here, if it's a smaller room, and I believe my office is a 12 by 12, you have plenty of light in general. If this is going to be a big room you're installing this in, I don't know that this is going to be quite the amount of light. Unless you're just okay with the room being a little bit more dim overall, then that would be fine. I have my regular flush mount LEDs in my office as well. Those are RGB also, but just using the fan with the light is actually something that I do regularly now because the other ones, it's good. I like them. But sometimes I don't want that much light in the room, and instead of messing with like turning the brightness on those down, I just simply turn this on. And again, that's what I was wanting for the office, is more options for lighting while still having a fan, and this provides it. Sometimes when I'm gaming, I just turn on the RGB, and so now I have this really cool look, and I may pair those with the other flush mount LED lights that I have in the office, and it's just a cool effect that I have that is a little bit more immersive for the gaming. Now, some of the flashing effects that you're going to watch right here, probably a little too much for me, but if I'm throwing like, it wouldn't be for my office, but we do a big Halloween party every year. This would be great in other rooms where it's like, hey, now we get to have this color, this effect in that room that goes with whatever theme that we're having that party with. And Halloween for us is a big one. So having like a green and purple or like a red and orange or something like that, all those options are here. So plenty of options, and it would fit for, again, whatever the theme of the party is going to be. Now with this, you get 12 different lighting effects. The first one is basic, and I think I said that wrong earlier because with this, basic has all these different options. It's the long list. I thought it was categorizing all of them, but it's actually separate. So this one's separate. It's just what they consider to be basic effects. And then after that, you have water, meteor, stacked, falling, follow, float, flash, bounce, shuttle, flickering, and open. Some of these look the same in terms of, hey, it's a breathing type of effect, and with that, it's something that you would find already underneath one of these other categories here. So again, they may look similar, but like the amount of effects, I'm not going to count all of them because it's got to be in the hundreds with this. There's so many. But to kind of split the app here up before I move on, I did want to do a quick showcase of the fan, the speed levels, and the sound that you would hear coming from this. All right, with this, you're going to hear a beep when I turn this on. You can turn that feature off in the app. So if you don't like the beep, you can get rid of that. You're going to hear the wobble at the lower level initially, but I actually click this all the way up to max, which it doesn't get very loud. That's great. It just remains very quiet overall. As I turn this to the lower settings, you're going to start to hear some wobble. That's when you can actually push that button or turn the wobble feature on in the app where it tries to make sure that that doesn't happen. Part of this, though, I think is actually because of how I installed this, because I don't have a ton of room. I believe it's the J box, right? I don't have a ton of room in there. So a lot of these wires actually try to cram into the housing of the light. I will adjust that because I think that's really what's causing it to just be slightly off, and then you're hearing more of it pushing up against the wall, which more has to do with how I installed this than anything. But again, very quiet here, not a ton of noise coming from the fan. Jumping back to the app now, at the very bottom you have these different tabs. On the far left is going to be the light. That's the main portion that we've been in. Next to that, you have the music icon here. So if you click on the microphone in the middle there, that's where it starts listening to the music. And then you're going to have the different lighting effects that happen in response to that. I did notice if I turn the volume up that it actually, it's almost like it's listening to the microphone versus just running the software in the background and understanding that there's music in general playing. But shifting over to the fan here, again, bottom icons, you can see that I've clicked on the fan itself. So you get to power the fan on or off, adjust the level, change the mode, adjust whether or not this is going forwards or in reverse. I mentioned earlier, you can turn off the beep. That is where you would turn this off, and then turn the shake on as well. So if it is shaking, turning that on seems to alleviate that. I don't know how they're doing it, but every time I've had this where it's shaking, I click that on and it does seem to get rid of it. Of course, that may be dependent upon, again, the install. I mentioned that I need to go back through and maybe make this a better seal for that. If it's way off, then no amount of adjustment that this fan could make is going to get rid of that. So that can be an indicator for, hey, maybe you need to go back and check some things with this. So all of the different features that you would need with this fan are here in the app, but again, they're also on the remote, which is one of the reasons why I like this product so much. The big difference between the remote and the app, you're not going to squeeze all the lighting effects that you have in the app into this remote. And then if you're trying to create certain like schedules or things like that, you will need to actually have this app in order to do that. And that's really the last tab on the bottom. And here you have other features with this also: countdown, cloud timer, switch gradient, light strip in order. And with that, I believe that is for adding multiple things to kind of be synced together. But if I wanted to create a schedule, you could, hey, this is in your bedroom. I need this to turn on at 7 a.m. That's going to be part of the routine of waking me up. Do you need these to turn on gradually or turn off gradually? By default, it already does that, but you can adjust the time here, which is pretty cool. I've been actually seeing that with another light. So you have this built-in adjustment to the dimming effect here. Then after that, we have the length, and this is stuff I haven't personally done, connecting these to multiple strips and things like that. I just haven't done that, but we have other features here that let you do this, which is pretty cool. And so with this one, it says if your strip is cut during use, you can adjust the actual length to better set the light strip here. Again, stuff I haven't needed to use, but it is there. Power behavior, so restore memory, initial mode, customize. So the color that it's going to turn to when you turn this on by default in the brightness, I just have restore memory. So whatever the last thing is that I did, it will automatically just go back to whatever that thing is. And then the bottom, not disturb, so do not disturb. And then in the upper right hand corner, you find this with every single Lumary product. Here it's all the device information, connecting to a network, tap and run automation. Do you want to connect this to Alexa, Google Assistant, SmartThings, offline notifications, share device, create group, feedback, add to home screen? All your options are right here if you need it. So overall, I am extremely happy with this fan. This has been a great addition to my office. I get the fan feature, and for me, it's the perfect amount for my office. Again, a 12 by 12. That other fan, I never turned it all the way up because it just created so much airflow in the room. It just made me cold, where this feels like the right amount for the room. Then I have the extra light on top of that, so I don't have to always turn on my regular lights. I can utilize that. You get the splash of RGB color in here and so many different lighting effects. But for me, I'll actually be using this in conjunction with my regular lights to film when I'm doing other videos and I'm shooting B-roll. It will actually make the room fill with color even more because I haven't matched my regular lights. So huge thumbs up, great fan, great light. Everything is smaller with this as well, so it actually makes the room feel even bigger, which is a huge plus for me because at this point it does feel like I'm running out of room in my office. So can't recommend this product enough. The one thing I would want people to be mindful of is if you're going to have this in a very large room, it may not be enough airflow or light. So do keep that in mind. Again, my room is a 12 by 12. I think you could probably go up to like a 15 by 15, 18 by 18, maybe 20 by 20. And at 20 by 20, it's probably pushing it where it's like, hey, it's probably getting to the point where this just isn't going to be enough light or airflow for you. Last, I haven't covered this yet, but the price here, it's normally $200, $199. Lumary always has discounts on these things. So with this, there's currently a $40 off coupon. That can change. So if you watch this and it's not the same, just wait. Usually they have frequent sales on their products. So 160 bucks, I think it is a solid deal. At 200, it does feel on the more expensive side, especially when you're looking at all the different options that are out there. But if this is something that fits your exact needs, I think it's going to be worth it. I will have a link for this in the description if you want to pick this up. If you have any questions about this, let me know in the comment section. If you like the video, hit the like button for me as it helps the channel out. If you want to continue to follow along with all my content, hit the subscribe button for me. And as always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.